In this video, we're going to show you how to make a battery block. So in the previous videos, we made our resistor block and we completed our circuit. And now we're going to add a power supply or power source, and we're going to draw a battery for our power source. When we start our battery block, we're going to do like we did with the resistor and add just a line so we can start with the source. So we're going to click on our line, go to the end point of the line that we just left off, and we're going to come down and we're going to make it a quarter of an inch. So 0.25 is going to be the length of our starting line. And we're going to escape out of that to end our line drawings. And we're going to click on our line again, and then we're just going to make us a line out in space out here, and we're going to make it 1 inch long. So we just click and drag and then type in 1. And now we have a line that is 1 inch long. So now we're going to click on that line, select it, and we're going to type in move on our keyboard. We're going to move our line. Now it's asking you for the base point of this line. We don't want the end points. We want to take the middle of this line. So to get the middle of the line, we're going to type in MID for the middle of this line. And then it will show us, or it will give us a point of the midpoint of that line. When we get the little green triangle, we click, and now we're dragging the line from its midpoint. So we go up to the line that we just made and select the end point of that line. Then it moves our line to the end point of our first line. And that is where we are going to put our line. So once we have our first line created, we're going to use some construction lines to lay out the rest of our battery. So we're going to go to a different layer, and we're going to add, we're going to click on our construction layer. And then we want our battery to be about a quarter of an inch apart. So we're going to click on lines. We're going to go from our line, we're going to go down a quarter of an inch. So once we have our construction line made, we're going to hit escape to get rid of our construction line. And we're going to click a line, another line, and just draw it out in space. And this time it's going to be a ½ inch. So we're going to type in 0.5. This line will be a ½ inch long. But it's not supposed to be a construction line. So I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to go back to a different layer. We're going to go back to our object layer. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click a line. We're going to draw a line a ½ inch long. And then we're going to escape. And now we're going to move this line to the center of our construction line. So we're going to highlight the line, type in move, and then enter. Then we want to move it from our midpoint again. So we're going to get to the midpoint of the line and move that to our construction line. Now we're going to copy our construction line. So we're going to click on it, type in copy, and then we're going to choose the base point of our construction line and move it down. So this will give us equal spacing between our battery drawing. So now we're going to select both of the battery lines that we just made. We're going to copy them. We're going to copy them from the end point of our construction line to the end point of our other construction line. And that is the majority of our battery. We have one more line to make before we complete our battery. So we're going to click on line. We're going to go to the midpoint of our previous line, and we're going to come down 0.25 to give us a line to connect our battery to. And then we're going to delete our construction lines, and that will be our battery. Now that we have our battery drawn, we need to create a block for our battery. So we're going to go to our block tab at the top and click on the create button. If you hold your mouse over it, that will be your create block icon. So we'll click on that, and it will ask us to define it. So we're going to have to give it a name. We're going to call it a battery.
I already have a battery in there, so I'm going to add a 1 to mine. You will just name yours battery. And then we're going to click OK. It's going to ask you to select an object. So we're going to click OK, and then we're going to highlight our battery. And then we're going to right click, and it's going to ask us to make a selection point. So we're going to hit OK, and then we're going to go to the top of our battery and click that point. So that will be where we add the new battery. So now that we have made a battery as a block, we'll be able to use that again. We won't have to go through that process of redrawing our battery. Now that we have our battery created as a block, we need to center our battery. Our battery is not centered with the resistor. So we need to try to center our battery with our resistor. To do that, we're going to make a few construction lines. So we're going to go to our construction layer. So that will let us see the difference between our construction lines and our real lines. And we're just going to draw a line from the top of our battery to the other line that we created in our circuit. And we're going to hit escape. We're going to draw, then we're going to take our battery. Let's just take our battery and move it out of the way just for a second so we'll be able to see what we're doing here. We're going to add another line, just the length of our battery. So what we want is we want our battery to be centered in this line. So to do that, we're going to take our battery and we're going to move it, and we're going to move it from the midpoint of the line that we just created. So we type in mid, hit enter, and then we'll get our green triangle at the middle of this line. So we're going to select that, and then we're going to move our battery, and then we're going to type in mid again and hit enter, and that will put it on the midpoint of our other construction line. Now our battery is centered in our circuit. So now we are going to remove our construction lines, and then we're going to just complete our circuit. We're going to highlight our line, click on the blue dot, drag it down to the top of our battery, and click again. And we'll hit escape one time and then do the same thing on the bottom, and this will complete our series circuit. So in a series circuit, we know that current is going to flow from our negative through our resistors back to our positive. It's going to make a complete circuit, and all the current will be the same through each resistor. So that is how we're going to draw our series circuit.